This is a Norwegian Kransekake, 18 rings of almond paste, and I'm going to show you how to make one today. Kransekake begins with almonds, and there are a couple of ways of grinding almonds. What I have here is an old-fashioned nut grinder, the kind that clamps to the table. It's kind of like a large muhly grater, and I love this for grinding nuts because I get an absolutely wonderful powdery texture which keeps the nuts very, very light and airy. But I want you to take a look at these nuts, especially as they come out of the grinder, and you see how powdery they are and how light and fluffy. And this is exactly what you want. For this Kransekake, I have 1.5 pounds of unblanched whole almonds that I just ground up. Do you see how lovely and powdery that is? And then I'm adding 1.5 pounds of powdered sugar. And I'm going to toss all of this together just with my hands to make this mix together very, very thoroughly. So we'll have 3 pounds of mixture total. And then into this, I'm going to add 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And the baking powder just helps to give the Kransekake a little bit of lightness, because this is almond paste, which tends to be fairly heavy in texture, and the baking powder does just a great job of lightening it up just a little bit. Toss this around very, very well. Now I'll need to make the paste in the food processor, but I can make the paste in the food processor after grinding the nuts with the nut grinder. And for doing that, I need to measure 3 cups or 12 ounces. I'm going to weigh 12 ounces. I'll measure 3 cups and see how close I come. Just dip and sweep like that. It's 11 3/4 ounces, so I'm just going to add enough for 12. And then I will put this into the food processor. This is 1/4 of the mixture, so you need to do this step 4 times. So put this into the work bowl of the food processor and start the machine. And then pour in 1 egg white. And that's it. That's all there is to making this almond paste. Can you hear the sound of the machine changing? And it's just about ready to go into a ball. If it doesn't quite get into a ball, pick it up and feel how moist it is. If you squeeze, you see how it squeezes together and comes into a mass, then that's enough. And if it turns out that the mixture is too dry and it will not squeeze together and come into a mass, then just add just the teeniest bit more of egg white to make it come together. You know, even though you're using large eggs, each large egg white is not exactly the same size. And remember, knead it really well for 2 to 3 minutes until it's very smooth and pliable. And then when you've made all 4 batches, knead them all together, and then you can shape your Kransekake. Now remember, the Kransekake is this magnificent tower of 18 rings of almond paste, and you buy these special Kransekake molds. There will be a set of 6 pans, and these are non-stick, and every depression will form a ring of a different dimension. Now for the largest Kransekake ring, it's going to be pretty long. And also, it's very important that you do not make these rings any wider than a 1/2 inch, because they're going to expand during baking, and because these depressions in the Kransekake molds are so close together, you run the risk of your rings actually baking together if you make them too broad. So then you just lay the Kransekake paste right into your ring, and then you see where it's going to have to join right over here, so then just pinch it off and then pick it up and then just press together as best you can. And then in baking, what you'll do is, since you have 6 pans, you'll bake 3 at one time on the center shelf of your oven, set at 350 degrees, for 10 minutes. And you don't want to overbake because you want the Kransekake to be crusty on the outside but chewy on the inside. So just until you can start smelling some almond fragrance coming to your oven. That should be long enough to bake, about 10 minutes. And then you take the pans out of the oven. Use a wide metal spatula to get them off the baking rack. And let them cool. And once you've got all 18 rings baked and cooled, then you'll be ready to assemble the Kransekake. These are the baked Kransekake rings, and you can see that they're just very lightly tinged with brown. You just cool them on their pans, and then when you're ready to assemble, place the largest ring on a doily-lined plate, and then make sure that you've made your icing a little bit ahead of time. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do a zigzag pattern, kind of loopy, squeezing the bag gently. And then this icing is going to act as the glue for all the Kransekake rings. Okay, and then stop once you've got the first ring done, and then take the next largest ring and set it on top like that, pushing it gently in place. And then you repeat this loopy movement of decorating with the icing. The Kransekake should dry at room temperature for a couple hours before serving. It'll keep a good 2 or 3 days, but make sure that you eat it before it dries out. And the Kransekake that you're looking at right now, decorated with all the flags of the world, is just absolutely symbolic of what this dessert really means, and I really hope you make it.